Welcome to Candlewick Library. I'm Cheryl, and it is time to go to Hogwarts. It's September 1st, so that means we are starting the Back to Hogwarts readathon today. I wanted to post a tag video today so that any of you that want to do this tag during the month will have the time. This is the Harry Potter spells tag, and it was originally created by a channel called TurtleSympathy, but their video is no longer available and I couldn't find out anything about this person. So I saw it on Jessie the Reader's channel quite a long time ago. And so I'm just going to try to bring it back for this month at least. And hopefully some of you will want to do this tag. It has a list of some of the spells from Harry Potter and then a book prompt that goes along with it. So number 1, Expecto Patronum, a childhood book connected to good memories. For that, I have to pick Anne of Green Gables because I have so many memories wrapped around this book. I read it for the first time when I was 8, and I can remember being in the car driving home. We lived in California at the time, and we were driving home from my grandparents' house in Utah. I remember being upside down in the backseat of the car with my feet up and my head hanging off the seat. I don't know why I was sitting that way, but I did that sometimes. And I was reading Anne and just so into the book. So not only does it have the memories of reading it for the first time in my childhood, but I also have all the memories of watching the Sullivan production of Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Avonlea with Megan Follows and Jonathan Crombie. If you haven't watched any adaptations of Anne, please watch that one. I have so many memories of different times watching that. About a year later, we lived in Idaho, and in the basement of that house, there was a wood-burning stove fireplace. And so we would have the wood in there, have little fires going, so it smelled kind of smoky watching Anne of Green Gables together as a family. And that is one of my favorite memories as well. So this book just brings up all of the feels, all of the memories from my whole life, really, but yet definitely from when I was a child. Number 2 is Expelliarmus, a book that took you by surprise. So I was thinking there's so many books that could fit this prompt, but I thought of Treasure Island first because this is a book that I kind of knew the story and I've heard of my whole life, but I had never read it. And when I finally read it, it surprised me how much I loved it. I was really engaged the whole time I was reading it, and it was a completely delightful read for me. So it really surprised me. Number 3, Prior Incantato. I don't honestly know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That is for the last book you read, and I just barely finished A Lantern in Her Hand by Bess Streeter Aldrich. This tells the story of a young woman who gets married, and then she and her husband go to Nebraska to have a farm. They raise their kids. The kids all do their own thing. I will be talking about this in my August wrap-up, so you'll get a little bit more of my feelings there. Number 4, Alohamora, a book that introduced you to a genre that you hadn't considered before. This one was a little tricky because I've been reading very widely when it comes to genres for most of my life. I'm pretty sure that Jurassic Park was the first science fiction I read. I could be totally wrong on that because I'm sure there were some books that I read before that had science fiction elements to it. But I know that this, a lot of times it's categorized as horror. When I think of Jurassic Park, I think of it more as a science fiction. But I loved Jurassic Park so much that this opened me up to Michael Crichton's other books, which I would also argue are mostly science fiction. And he became one of my favorite authors. And so I don't read a lot of science fiction outside of his books. And again, I think you could probably argue whether his books are science fiction or not, but most of them have a lot of science in them. So I don't know. I could be categorizing things completely wrong, but that is what I think of. And this book definitely got me more interested in and open to that kind of book. Number 5, Riddikulus, a funny book that you have read. So this one I went back and forth as well. There are a lot of books that I find humorous, but don't necessarily make me laugh out loud. And I really wanted to pick one that had made me laugh out loud. And so as I was trying to remember some of the ones that have done that, I remembered that a few years ago, we did a read aloud in homeschool with both of my daughters, and we all laughed a few times throughout this book out loud. So that is The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. I found this book so delightful. It has been one of my favorite books that I have ever read with my children. Number 6. So this is another one that I'm not sure I don't remember how to pronounce. Sonorus or Sonorus? I think it's Sonorus. It's the one that makes your voice able to be heard. A book that you think everybody should know about. And I'm going to say The Bark of the Bog Owl. This is the first book in the Wilder King trilogy by Jonathan Rogers. And I hardly ever hear anybody talk about this series. I don't know why. It is a trilogy and it is a reimagining, retelling. It's basically based on the story of David in the Bible, but it isn't David in the Bible. So a lot of Christian biblical fiction I don't enjoy because I have a hard time with a story of somebody that is in the Bible being changed, if that makes sense. But with this one, I didn't feel that way because it was just taking it and being inspired by it and having that be kind of the story, but the people and the things that are happening are completely different. Hopefully that all made sense. But I read this aloud to my parents and my children while we were staying with them while our house was being built. And my dad would ask for more chapters. So I ended up buying them their own set of it as well. This has been another one of my favorite read alouds of all time, this whole series. So I am on a mission to get more people reading The Bark of the Bog Owl. Number 7 is Obliviate, a book or spoiler that you would like to forget you have read. So I don't have this book with me. I'll have to put up a picture, but that is The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you've heard me talk negatively about Faulkner before. I don't know what it is. I just think that there's some authors that speak to us and some that repel us. And that book repelled me. I hated it. I'm sorry to anyone out there who loves him and loves that book. This is not a direct attack on you. It's just that is a book that I wish I hadn't read. Number 8, Imperio, a book you had to read for school. There were a lot of books I had to read for school. Most of them I liked. Another one I didn't love, and I'd actually already read it before I had to read it in school, but it was just the first one that came to my mind when I was looking at the questions, was Romeo and Juliet. Of course, I didn't read the manga classic version. This is the one I let my daughter read. And I can appreciate Romeo and Juliet, and I would say I even enjoy it, but I don't think it's romantic, and it's not my favorite Shakespeare. I guess it would be in the lower end of Shakespeare plays for me. And I've always kind of found it odd that it seems like most of the people I know that the Shakespeare play they had to read in school was Romeo and Juliet. So while I did have my daughter read it, I had her read other ones as well, and we've read some as a family. I think that there's different ones that should be read first. I wonder if it's because it's so accessible, because so many people know about Romeo and Juliet already, if that's why it's the one that's chosen. I don't know. Number 9, Crucio, a book that was painful to read. This one was another one that I struggled with for a few minutes trying to figure out what I wanted to pick. And I thought, well, I want it to be maybe it should be something that was sad or hard to pick up, but I went back and forth. I finally decided to go with A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway because I just recently read this, and this was my first Hemingway. And there were things that I enjoyed about it. I thought it was interesting, but I really wasn't a huge fan of his writing style. It was just another one of those writing style vibes that didn't appeal to me as much. And there were things in the book that I felt were harder to read. I'm glad I read it, but it was painful to read because I wasn't looking forward to reading it. And so when I had to pick it up, I didn't always want to, but I wanted to finish it. I wanted to see what happened, but I didn't always want to pick it up, if that makes sense. The last spell is Avada Kedavra, a book that could kill you. And it says to interpret it how you will. So I thought about this for a long time, and I decided I'm going to go with Harry Potter. It's Order of the Phoenix that I picked up. It doesn't really matter that much, except this one is so big. And it's one of the animated ones. This is so heavy that I felt like this would be a good answer, because if you were holding this above your head to read it, like I sometimes do with books, if I'm laying down and I dropped it on my head, it could very well, maybe not kill me, but injure me, that it can be very dangerous. So that is the one I had to pick. And I felt like I should have at least one Harry Potter book on this tag. So that is the Harry Potter spells tag. Normally, I was thinking that I would tag specific people, but I really would like anyone who wants to do this month. So if you're watching this and you want to do it, please do it. And just tag me and maybe the other co-hosts to let us know that you've done it. My co-hosts, if you want to, you can do this, but I don't want to add anything to your month. So don't feel pressured to do it. Again, my co-hosts are Alma at Alma's Book Journey, Christy at Christy A. Cole, and Lucy at the Lucy Chronicles. So I'll tag them below as well. Check them out this month. I hope that you're all going to have so much fun this month reading, joining us at Hogwarts.